Forget 100 policies, forget endless away days. If you want to shift the culture in your business, you need 3 conversations on repeat. If you get these right, culture follows. Get them wrong, and nothing ever sticks. Hi, I'm Sharon, the Culture Catalyst, and welcome to my series, Culture Shift in Action. This is where I help leaders like you spot the gaps, make the shift, and build thriving teams in under 10 minutes. Culture doesn't live in strategy decks. It lives in the conversations that we have on a day-to-day basis. In those moments where you have meaningful conversations, you talk about the purpose, you give feedback, and you recognize contributions. If you miss those, you miss your culture. So in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about 3 conversations that you can have this month with your teams to really help shift your culture. The first conversation I want to talk about is a vision to alignment conversation. Your people should be able to answer this one question: how does my role contribute to the bigger picture? And here's a really practical tip. You could start every meeting with a statement on how the purpose of that meeting or the contents of that meeting contribute to your business goals. I'm not talking about jargon, I'm talking about one clear sentence that describes it. For example, this project about X is going to move us closer to reducing our turnover, growing our profits, making our communication about X, Y, and Z much easier to access. When an employee sees a clear line of sight between what they're actually doing, the activity that they're participating in, and the vision for the business and the goal that you're setting yourself to achieve, then their motivation shoots up and they're going to want to show up for the culture that you're creating. The second conversation I want you to have is a feedback into trust conversation. If we're honest, most of us in business only do formal feedback maybe once a year when that annual performance review comes round, and that's just wrong and it's too late. Instead, we need to make it a weekly occurrence. It can be short, but it should definitely be two-way. So if you're stuck in just circulating that form and asking for feedback in the STAR framework, tell me how brilliant I am, then you need to do something different. Ask your team on a regular basis, what's one thing we could do differently that would make your work easier? And here's the fundamental thing. When you hear the response, you need to act on it. If you also make it really specific and tie it to something that's familiar with that person, as well as then talk about a time frame, that then powers up the kind of quality of response that you get. So here's what I mean. What one thing about our weekly meetings could we do differently that will make your work easier over the next delivery period, the next month? That single loop, that two-way conversation builds more trust than any leadership program could. Trust is one of the most important things you need to have when you're creating a healthy culture. The third type of conversation I want you to have is a recognition into belonging conversation. People don't just want a pay slip. A lot of people say this to me all the time. Well, at the end of the day, everyone just wants to get paid and go home. If that's the case, then you don't have a healthy culture. You probably have a toxic one. Because all of the research points to the fact that people want more meaning. They want to feel seen. You could shout out small wins, little tiny steps in the process that make a difference, but that somebody has spent a lot of time and effort on. Do that regularly in your meetings, in your huddles, wherever you get the opportunity. And I want you to highlight the behaviors that match the values of your business, because that provides reinforcement. What you recognize gets repeated. And this is at virtually no cost, apart from a little bit of your time. Recognition does not have to come with a big budget. It just needs consistency. Employees who feel recognized are twice as likely to bring fresh ideas and show up for you and your business. As with all the episodes in this series, I'm going to reflect on some of the experiences I've had in organizations working with them and for them, looking at culture. And I want to make sure I highlight some of the things that you shouldn't do. Don't save your vision for the annual report. It needs to be something you talk about on a regular basis and that you start to try and connect what happens day to day to the direction you're going in and why it matters. Don't treat feedback as a formality. You can have informal feedback conversations all of the time, multiple times throughout a day. Ask those probing questions because you will learn more from that than you will somebody filling out a form and telling you how great you've done this year. It shouldn't wait till that point. You should be across it on a regular basis throughout the year. And please don't outsource recognition to HR. It's not their job. Don't just post it in a newsletter and cross your fingers. It needs to be more meaningful than that. Be specific about it, name the person and name the behaviors. These are leader conversations that you must have in your business if you really want to shift things forward. They're most definitely not comms campaigns. So remember what I said at the start of this episode. Culture does not live in strategy decks. It lives in those important conversations that you have every single day with your team. So be intentional about them. Here's your action plan. Firstly, link daily work to the company vision. Ask for and act on feedback consistently. Recognize people often and do it really specifically. If you master these 3 conversations, you won't just be talking about culture, you'll be living it. If you want the full Culture Shift blueprint, there'll be a link in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share it with somebody who you think will value it. And don't forget, culture change doesn't start with a strategy, it starts with a conversation. I'll see you next time.